Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclydes MTG. Today, we got to talk about future of Commander as Wizards of the Coast tells everybody to hold their horses. So, before we get started, don't forget comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. The comments down below help feed that YouTube algorithm. Also, links in the description for ways to support the channel by going in there and getting in the YouTube TCG player, buying yourself some of the cards you already need anyway. That comes straight from our box opening series and our short videos. Also, don't forget we're having giveaways. It is almost Spooktober, and that means if you're a member by the 31st, we are going to have a giveaway for a Eldrazi foil etched Kolazek from Modern Horizons 3 to any member of the channel. So at least a dollar minimum to join, and we get enough people in here, we might start having giveaways every month just for the giggles. So, really cool. Also, we're going to look into doing some box breaks and other things on the Patreon page and what have you. Don't forget, Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, we'll be doing some giveaways for everybody to be involved, not just the members. So, stay tuned for that as well. So, let's talk about the future of Commander per Wizards of the Coast. So it says here the past week has been tumultuous. I love the big words. For Commander fans, members of the Commander Rules Committee, and Magic community as a whole. Along the way, we've seen players and fans share a diverse range of passionate opinions, far too many of which were harmful or malicious. Didn't know words hurt, but okay. Below and over the next few days and weeks, we'll be discussing quite a bit about Commander. Starting with the most pressing over the past week, the conversation has escalated, accumulating with unacceptable personal threats to safety of members of the Commander Rules Committee. This is something that we will not tolerate. No matter how you feel about something in Magic, it's never appropriate to threaten somebody. This is true. Anybody at Wizards of the Coast is a united on this front. It will not hesitate to take action against individuals who threaten to harm community members or employees. Very true. Not something you should ever do. It's easy to voice your opinions, and to be fair, especially in situations like this, basically debate somebody into the dirt about why they're wrong, and why something is not good for the game. If you can do that, there's no need to threaten them. It does not be that way. So this week has demonstrated a truly monumental task that faced the Commander Rules Committee. 5 talented, caring individuals with their job, with all their other jobs, lives, low work balance, blah blah blah. Nobody deserves to feel unsafe supporting the game that they love. Unfortunately, task managing Commander has far outgrown the scope and safety of being attached to any 5 people. So today, in partnership with members of the existing Rules Committee, we are announcing that Rules Committee is given management of the Commander format to the game design team of Wizards of the Coast. Gee, did you not think that was a good idea, considering all this time, any format that had Wizards of the Coast stuff on it was governed by the Wizards of the Coast for the most part. It's sad it's seen it come to this after Sheldon's departure from this world. God bless him. But in the grand scheme of things, people not associated with the company who do it for fun and maybe other reasons as well, shouldn't have this kind of power over a game. Here's why. As you know, what they did caused not only a major shakeup, but a big feel bad when it comes to people's wallets, and nobody wanted that, including Wizards, which is why it's weird they let this go on so long. Probably because it would take something like this bad judgment rule decision from the committee that had this kind of impact for someone to actually make a change about it. So it says, while ownership of the format may be changing, members of the Rules Committee and others in the community will continue to be involved. The vision of the social format will not change. We've had some preliminary conversations about what we would like to accomplish and have some ideas we will be rolling out together in months to come. Working with the community to craft this format is critical to all of us. We have an open door, opened a new Discord, yada, yada, yada. So Next, it talks about what's next. So while this is still very early, we do want to share some of the things that we just started working on with the rules committee, a more objective approach to deck power level, and additional guidance and shared language for players to find the game that match the type of game they're wanting to play. Again, this kind of goes back in my original conversations I'll have throughout my other videos. If everything is rule 0 and that's fine, why do we need to ban cards in Commander? The reason came from people not liking the competitive version of Commander, which can be a thing, but it's not what Commander was meant for. So therefore, the bans and whatnots should have been just for competitive Commander. And if you want to play casual and allow any card, then you're just going to be up to whatever happens. And again, once you start throwing competitive into things, you have to have rules and this, that, and the other, which is what probably brought these decisions around. But at the same time, if the entire format's meant to be casual and not competitive, it's really hard to mix those two. They should have had, in my opinion, a competitive format with bans, listings, and all this other jazz, and then just a casual format where kind of anything goes, like, vintage, legacy, whatnot, have not. So anyway, here's the idea. There are 4 power brackets. Every commander deck can be placed in one of those brackets by examining the cards and combinations of cards in his decks. Yada, yada, yada. You can imagine bracket 1 is a baseline of an average pre-constructed deck or below. And a bracket 4 is high power. So for the lower tiers, you may lean on a mixture of cards, a description of how the deck functions, so forth and so on. For example, you can imagine bracket 1 has cards that could easily go into any deck, like Swords of Plowshares, Grave Titans, Cultivate, whereas bracket 4 would have cards like Vampiric Tutor, Armageddon, and Grim Monolith, cards that make games too much more consistent, lopsided, and then fast. Almost like casual versus competitive we just talked about. In this system, your deck would be defined by the highest bracket card or cards. This makes it clear what cards go where and what kind of cards you can expect people to be playing. For example, if Ancient Tomb is a bracket 4 card, your deck would generally be considered a 4, but if it's part of a Tomb-themed deck, the conversation may be, my deck is a 4 with Ancient Tomb, but a 2 without. Is that okay? So I think this is a bit complicated, but a decent start on where we should be going. Again, it's going to be a little more complicated than just, this is a competitive commander deck, this is non-competitive. But we got to start somewhere, and I think this is probably a good place to start. We'll have to see how it goes. Will the system guarantee perfectly matched games? Of course not. We can't even get that now, so no reason to even argue that point. But it gets the conversation started for a shared understanding. Again, rule 0, we talked about that before. Whatever your group wants to allow, because to be fair, it does suck to get beat up by a deck, but if a deck has a real high power level but a real low consistency rate, it's fun to see it go off every now and then, even if you are the victim of it. I will admit that. So we'd love to hear what you think about the power brackets, yada, yada, yada. Also be evaluating the current banned card list alongside both the Commander Rules Committee and the community. We will not ban additional cards as part of the evaluation. While discussion of the ban list started this, immediate changes to the list is not our priority. For now, the safety and well-being of the Rules Committee, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, they're not going to change anything to begin with. And there's a reason for that. Tinfoil hat theory. Like I mentioned in some of my other videos that you guys will see coming up, some of the information about these bans or possible bans did get leaked to individuals, causing a market shift before the ban took place that some people didn't notice on face value, but did notice after the fact. For example, there was talk of some stores pulling down buy lists of these items, and some people selling lots of these items that were going to be banned because they knew it was coming. Grand scheme of things, I think this did happen because it's really hard to keep something like this under wraps. Is it all their fault? Probably not, but in essence it is, because they're the only ones that have this kind of knowledge, and they shouldn't be talking about it with other people. Now, once you want to open that discussion up to other people, you need to make general announcements. Hey, we are looking at banning these cards for these reasons, and letting the world know in advance so that some individuals who will remain nameless don't get to sell their whole collection off at high price, and then buy what they know won't be banned at cheap price. So do what you want with that information. Not that I have any hard fact or information told or heard of or seen or have a transaction statement that I might have seen from some stores. Take that with what you will. Wide world out there, do the math. I think this will be a little better. I think Wizards normally, as a company, handles the bans when they do them better than the rules committee did, only because of the organization, the communication, things like that. Not because I would definitely say they're better at judgment, but logistics wise, I think it would be better, even though it's not a perfect system itself. I think the power levels of the decks will be really good. They already have a system like that in Arena for Brawl, where certain cards put you in certain deck levels. So if you want to play the busted cards, you can, but you're going to play against other busted cards, which may make the game unfun to you. But at least you know that if you understand how Arena works. And I think it would be good to see that as a normal system, because to be fair, if there was a 1 to, we'll say 4, we'll start with 4, power level, it would be nice to have a standard form, or not a, but to have a format like standard where you know all the cards are legal, but if you play X amount of cards, this is the power level of your deck. It will also, I think, make for a really interesting build environment as people get to tinker with the cards that are available to make the best 1, 2, 3, and 4 decks. And then, as instead of banning cards, we could change power levels of cards to slide them from a power level 1 to a 4, or a 4 to a 2, or whatever, and change the dynamic that way without banning. And I think that's the best thing that's going to come out of this, if that's the way they decide to go. And I hope they do. That'll keep deck building alive and fresh, and very entertaining for a long time. So, with all that said, tell me what you think down below. I think at the end of the day, this is probably where it should have been to start with. So I think we're just kind of coming full circle to mom and dad coming home and telling the older siblings that they can't babysit anymore, they just threw a party. So, for what it's worth, it is what it is for now. Nothing's probably going to change. So, just buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be weird. So, till next time, be kind. And as always, I hope to see you across from the game table. Playing something, hell, I don't know.